Like many women, I have fond memories of the day my dad walked me down the aisle on my wedding day. Little did I realise at the time just how lucky I was to share this memory with him. This photo was taken just 18 months after my wedding day with my dad and I, and was to be our last photo together. He passed away 1 month later. His life ended at age 56 as a result of stomach cancer. My dad Graham was the eldest of his 5 siblings pictured here with their father. Over a 25-year period, 4 out of 5 of these siblings have been diagnosed with stomach cancer. Fortunately, 2 have survived their ordeal, and sadly 2 have not. Both my father and his younger brother Peter passed away in their early 50s. As this devastating pattern unfolded, the family began to question the coincidental nature of the cancers and had genetic testing done. The testing revealed that my grandfather was the carrier of a genetic mutation that was unknowingly being passed to his 4 children at birth, and later causing hereditary diffuse gastric cancer. Ironically, although my grandfather was the primary carrier, he never presented with cancer and has only recently passed away at the age of 96. My cousins and I were informed that should our parent be a positive gene carrier, then we too had a 50% risk of carrying the gene. Our reactions varied significantly. Some decided to get genetic testing done, while others opted to leave outcome to chance. I was in the camp that decided to have genetic testing done, and as a result found out that I too carried the gene that had cut my dad's life short. I was advised that as a gene carrier, I was predisposed to an 80% risk of developing stomach cancer, and being female, a further 60% risk of developing lobular breast cancer. A good friend said to me after revealing to her my test results, "You know, Simone, they've just saved your life," and she was right. As frightening as this news was, at least I was armed with knowledge to help make choices about my future. As difficult as these choices were, I was grateful to have the opportunity to make them, an option that my father didn't have. Due to my high risk of developing stomach cancer, I was strongly advised to have a total prophylactic gastrectomy, which in layman's terms means complete removal of the stomach. It was explained to me that the esophagus would be joined to the small intestine, which would then reduce my high risk of 80% down to 0. My 2 children at the time were aged 7 and 2. The thought of potentially not being around to watch them grow up was too heartbreaking to think about, and so for me, there was really no other choice than to have my stomach removed. I had the surgery done in November 2011, and my recovery was quite challenging to say the least. However, fast forward to today, and I'm happy to report that I'm living a healthy and happy life. Early precancer cells were detected in the lining of my stomach, and so as my wise friend had said to me, my life had literally been saved. When my eldest son was aged 10, I recall watching television with him one night, when out of the blue he turned to me and said, "Hey Mum, this stomach cancer thing of yours, do I have a chance of getting it?" My heart sank. I always knew that this discussion would happen, but I wasn't prepared for it at that moment. As you may have guessed, my children also have a risk, like I did, of being gene carriers. I tried to be honest without alarming him too much. Suffice to say, I somewhat floundered with my answer. This conversation led me to contact the Peter Mac Familial Cancer Centre for some help. What I did find out was this was an all too common dilemma amongst families who carried hereditary cancer genes. Communication was often poor, and as a result, this poor communication led to confusion, disconnect, and worst of all, cancer diagnosis in people that could have been having preventative checks. As a result of this comes the birth of Family Ties Foundation. Family Ties Foundation is an online resource to help families with all genetic cancer syndromes effectively communicate with their relatives. Although cancer types and treatments may be different, often there are similarities in the way that people deal with having a hereditary cancer gene. The vision for Family Ties Foundation is to be a resource recommended to every person who's diagnosed with a hereditary cancer syndrome. By being well informed about choices, we can be a catalyst in reducing the mortality rate associated with genetic cancer. Conversation about potential cancer risk with family members can be very difficult. It can be a disconnect amongst families and a strain on the ties that hold the families together, but most importantly is it can be life-saving. If you or someone you know would like to know more about how Family Ties can help you, please connect with us either via our Facebook page or our website. Thank you.